everybody. Let's get into this video. Let's get into it. I want to talk about something. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna wait for a couple people to come through, but we're gonna talk about this. Wrote it all down. I wrote it down. We're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it. Give me a second, y'all. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Chris. Hello, Self-Made Beauty. Hey, GB. Hey, Annie. Hello, Sugar Smacks. Hello, Shalom. Listen. I have a discussion that I want to talk about. If you haven't noticed, the title of the video is Why? Why did I let him abuse me? Why did I let him abuse me? Why? Why did you let him abuse you, sis? What were you thinking? You're so beautiful. You have all of these talents. You have mastered your skills that you are good at. I mean, you have men who want to talk to you. You know, there's good opportunities out there for you. Like, there's a whole world out there. Why did you let him abuse you? Why did you allow him to do that to you? Like, what was your thoughts? All right, let's get into it. There was a woman who messaged me today. This is her message on this piece of paper. I wrote it down. I asked her if it was okay if I use it as content. And I hope, Lindsay, can you please text me on Instagram or Facebook regarding any mail or any packages, okay? Great. She texted, I wrote down her message on this piece of paper, and I asked her if it was okay if I could use it as content, and she said yeah. The reason why I'm making this video, disclaimers, the reason why I'm making this video is because multiple women have asked me this very same question that I'm about to read to you. I don't answer these questions because I am still processing a lot myself. I am still coming to terms with some of the things that I did let slide, some of the things that I did let happen. So it's a healing process, right? But I am feeling absolutely moved to talk about this in this moment. This is all in the moment. So this young lady, she asks me, she texts me on Instagram and she says, "Hi, Velvet. I was listening to your story and I realized I am in a toxic relationship." Thank you, Glamma. With a narcissist. It's been so hard on me to get away and stay away. And it hurts me to leave. She said, praying, leaving, blocking him. I'm trying everything. I know he's not a good man, but I keep going back. He's taking every inch of my life. Why can't I just leave? Any advice? I'm literally at my end. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. The first thing that popped up in my head when it comes to a form of any abuse from in anybody's situation, the first thing as a person who has endured some kind of abuse, you have to ask yourself, what happened to me that made me so vulnerable to a person that I would allow them or even give them the leeway to abuse me? What happened to me? You know, like, from what I've experienced and from looking at other people's journeys and experiences when it comes to abuse, something happened to them for them to allow that person to abuse them the way that they did. I can't really speak for men, but I'm gonna speak for Haka, Hasha, if that's how you say it. I can't speak for men and from their perspective, but I can speak from a woman's perspective in a way. And so when she asked me this, I went back into my memories of what happened to me that allowed me to be abused, or for me to allow somebody to abuse me. And from my personal experience, what happened to me was I was insecure. I was insecure that, like, how do I say this? Growing up, I had validation from my friends. I had validation from outside sources, like programs that I was in and stuff like that. So I didn't really have too much of a disposition with not knowing my confidence when it came to what I had to offer, as far as like what I was good at and what I'm not good at. My insecurities came into play when I was a child. See, when you don't, some of us, most of us, some of us, a lot of us, because we didn't get that proper nurturing when we were children, it trickled into our adulthood, and it created a certain type of mindset for us when we, became young adults, especially when we're young adults. Just, I'm gonna speak from my perspective, period. When I was a young woman, a young girl, whatever, a child, I didn't necessarily feel like I got that nurturing that I needed. Everybody needs a certain level of nurturing. Everybody deserves that certain level of nurture. So we can't really argue about what we did and didn't do for each other, or what each other need. We can't argue about none of that, because at the end of the day, we're only giving what it is that we know, and to the capacity that we're able to give. So when I was a child, my environment, I just felt like it was not the right environment, like for me, and not even perfect, but just the right environment for me to be able to thrive in. So I started to look outside of my family, my immediate family, to love me. Without receiving that proper nurturing from the home environment, in my mind, there was an insecurity created around abandonment, around rejection, around being neglected. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. And so, in life, you guys, when I experience this sense of abandonment, rejection, neglect, being neglected emotionally, physically, right? I started to look for that love and that nurturing outside of my family home. So, of course, being a woman, and being beautiful, I'm going to attract guys to me. So, I was getting into every single relationship as if I was going to marry that person. Yes, actually, yes. I literally every guy that I've been with, except for I can say 3 of them, I was not wanting to have a serious relationship with. But everybody else, I was really wanting to have a serious relationship, like a family. I thought in my mind that these men were fit. They weren't, but that's just how I thought at that time. So, I when I would feel this way to this man, I would give myself to him, like all of me, like everything that I had to offer, whatever it was. I was just like so open, right? And normally this is what happens to a woman. And then this is when it can get all crazy and kooky, and like the mirrors just start fogging up with smoke, right? A woman, when she is neglected as a child in any form, way, or fashion, she's going to try to find a way to either recreate that love that she didn't get when she was a child, or just go find it somewhere, and maybe all the wrong places, or if especially if she's not brought up properly, if she's not taught properly, if she's not taught about having standards, if she's not taught about her own standards, like what do she want, if she's not coached on what it is like to be in a relationship with a man, or just be in relationships, period, she's going to enter this world and enter these relationships blindly. So for me personally, when I wait, hold up, but not the camera. All right, sit down. You ready?
Yeah.
Lay down. So when I got into this relationship with Eliana's dad, I realized that these traumas that I had, right, were from my childhood. And when I got into the relationship with him,
Mama, I want to be a princess and get a party, Mama.
okay. So when I realized that these traumas had taken over who I was at this point, I then had to assess if this was going to be something that I was going to continue to live or not. Was I going to risk my entire life and my child's life, or continue to be abused? And so that was a rational decision that I had to make as a young adult and as a grown woman. And I point out the traumas because there's a such thing as trauma bonding. When you are hurt and you are traumatized by something, when you get into a relationship with someone, whether it is romantic, whether it is like a friendship or whatever, you trauma bond, meaning that you bond with this person from only your traumas. You start to create expectation in your mind for this person because of the trauma. And you also start to see potential that's not really there from these traumas. So the reason why I let him abuse me was because I trauma bonded. I didn't realize I was trauma bonding, but that's what I was doing essentially. So when I realized that my traumas had a lot more to do with what I was seeing as potential, rather than me just trying to heal this generational curse and fight all of these wars generationally, I had to reevaluate my confidence within myself. I had to ask myself, what are you worth? Are you worth the way that he's treating you? Are you worth someone degrading you, being demeaning towards you, putting you in a position where you have to physically fight other human beings to protect yourself and your child? Do you, how do you, what's your real worth? And when I answered that question to myself, I said, I'm a woman, I am fearless, I'm divine. That's what I said to myself. And when I looked back at the relationship, the way that song made me feel was not how that relationship made me feel. Made me feel. And it's not on, baby. You gotta wait for it to be put on the charger, okay? You gotta wait for it to be put on the charger. It's not on, look. You gotta wait for the charger. And mommy have the charger, okay? So you have to wait, okay? So go lay down for a second, and then I'm gonna put this on the charger for you, okay? Baby, go get your crayons and your coloring book. You know where it's at. You can reach it. You can get it. You want to play with your toys so mommy can finish this video, and then I'll be right with you for a second? Because you can't use that right now. I have to put the charger on there, but you have to wait for the charger, okay? You want to color? Here, look. Right on this. Here. You want to use mommy Empress pen? Go ahead. And sit right there. Sit down. Good job. Write your name. E. L. So yes, when I look back at the relationship, it didn't make me feel how that song made me feel. And that's when I realized that I was lowering my standards. I was moving in a way that made me look like I didn't know my worth. And I was embarrassed after. I was like, sheesh. Whew, I looked like that? Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I don't really, some women go through the DICK-matized, they go through that. I don't personally feel like I was DICK-matized, right? Okay, I've had way better, right? But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about trauma bonding. Being matized is actually a thing, and some women go through that, but for my purpose sake, I got so many stories. I'm not even going to share that with y'all right now. But trauma bonding, right? This woman, when she asked me this question, I sincerely hope that she's watching this video. But I want to ask you, what happened to you when you were a child, or when you were a teenager, or even in your adult years? What happened to you that made you think that when you get into a relationship with someone and you know that it's bad, somewhere in your mind you rationalize that it's still okay? For instance, when I was in the situation with Eliana's dad, and I was being abused by this man, because I had already experienced abuse on smaller levels than what he was already doing, I was already exposed to abuse. So in my mind, the part of my brain that's rationalizing the abuse, I had become used to it. My life had started to revolve around around abuse being normal. So when I got into this relationship, that's exactly what happened. It started to become normal. The abuse started to become normal. And it wasn't until I actually started having children that actually made me look at my children and wonder and think if it was okay if they had went through that. And then, of course, the answer is no. And so, that's just the cherry on top of the cake for me. But when I realized that my skills and my talents and my worth was not being nurtured, that's when I realized that that person didn't want to uplift me. That person wanted to use my spirit, my my mind, my voice, my beauty, my skills, my talents, my womb. He wanted to use everything for only his benefit. He wanted to control me. And so narcissistic people, period, just want control in some form or fashion or type of way. Like, they need to have the upper hand. They need to have, in their minds, they need to have the upper hands. They need to have control over everything. They need to have control over you, finances, food, music, conversation, the ambiance of the atmosphere, any and everything. Narcissistic people.
I can't even hold it for drawing.
You can do it. Press it. The bottom. Press the bottom button. Yeah. So when this happens, and if you realize that this is happening to you in your relationship, and whatever relationship it is, I advise you to run. Because abuse can be mentally, verbally, emotionally, but the last thing that any spiritually, any of those things, you don't want it to become. But when it really starts to threaten you in a way that could cause death, potentially, when the abuse becomes physical. When the abuse becomes physical, that person is going to escalate very fast, and it's going to continue to escalate. It's not going to de-escalate. It's always going to be another situation where that person feels like they can express their abuse towards you, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So every time you leave, you hurt that person. But when you come back, you give that person a reason to abuse you again, because you're making them think that it's okay to abuse you just off of the strength of you going back. So you have to be careful when you going back and forth from a narcissistic abuser, because in a narcissistic person's mind, they're not going to rationalize you coming back as a second chance. They're going to rationalize you coming back as another opportunity for them to dog you out, and even more than the last time. So you have to sit with yourself and ask yourself, and in any instance, not only this instance, I really highly recommend all of us to sit with ourselves and ask ourselves, what is our traumas? We all have traumas. None of us can get away from that. So write your traumas down. Know exactly where they came from, and don't be afraid to write it out. Don't be afraid to write people's names next to the trauma that they created within you, and not only that, take responsibility also.
Mama, I don't have a tree I can make.
Here, make another one. Make another one. Here, make another one. Sorry. So always, when you're pinpointing these traumas, never try to be in a state when you're pinpointing these traumas. Don't be in a state where you're like, ooh, I effing hate that person. I can't stand that person. I have some type of revenge towards that person. I can't forgive that person. That person means nothing to me. Don't be in that state, because what you're doing when you're in that state is counting your blessings short. You're not paving a way for yourself or for your children to become a better person, a forgiving person, a loving person. So you want to rid your heart of those feelings very fast. The only thing that you're here to do is identify where you're traumatized so that you can overcome it. That's it. It's not to be holding grudges against people and hating people and thinking that people are supposed to owe you something. Nobody owes you nothing. You're just supposed to pinpoint your traumas and move forward, right?
Mommy,
The beauty...
make a tree.
Ellie, give me a second, okay? Give me 1 second, okay? Give me one moment. Baby, give me one moment. You can make more. Just make more, babe. when you the important thing about identifying your traumas is that when you identify your traumas, you realize when somebody is using the trauma against you to abuse you. I'll say that again. The good thing about pinpointing your traumas is when you realize that somebody else is using your own trauma against you to abuse you.
Mama,
So,
I have a baby. I have a baby,
and
and
if
you was a baby.
okay, baby, you're right.
It's me a baby, Mama.
No, you're not a baby no more. She's the baby. You're a big girl.
Mama.
So, give me 1 second. Let me finish this video, okay? Give me one moment. And then I'll talk to you all day after this, okay? Well, I always talk to you all day. But listen, let me finish this thought, okay? Let me finish this thought, okay? Let me finish this thought. Let me finish this thought, Ellie. Can you go get some water?
Yeah.
Yeah, go get some. I'll give you some. When you realize the trauma, you're able to back up a little bit and say, okay, that's the reason why I allowed this person to do that to me. I'm insecure in some form, way of fashion. Like I maybe I don't feel, but this is what I felt like. And actually, not even felt like, actually, my abuser would tell me stuff like this. He would say, no one's gonna ever want to be with you again. You already had my child. Nobody's gonna want to be the father of my child. Especially if you have another child with another man, nobody's gonna want you. No man is out there who's looking at you like that. You're a little girl. You don't know how to carry yourself as a woman. You know, it would be all of these type of things that he would say to me, and that played on my psyche as well. Even though I didn't feel like that, that played on my psyche, because when you trauma bond and you think that you love someone and they start to tell you things like that, you start to identify with that, so to speak. And so this is a lot of the reasons and times why you don't walk away and stay away, because somewhere down the line that person has some type of yoke on you, and you need to break that yoke by all means necessary. And the only way to break that yoke is through understanding your traumas and realizing, coming to the realization that you need to heal those traumas so that you can start attracting better to yourself. And if you don't necessarily have traumas that's keeping you attached to somebody that's abusing you, you should just simply think about your worth. Like, just think about who you are as a person. And I know a lot of us and some of us deal with that. Like, we don't understand our worth. We don't know what our worth is. But that's a perfect opportunity for you to figure it out. Period. Figure it out. Figure out your worth. Like, do you cook good? Do you clean good, baby? Do you sing? Do you dance? Do you make clothes? Are you an entrepreneur? Do you do arts and craft? Do you know how to make soap? Do you know how to make a bed? Like, figure out what it is that you do good so that you can capitalize off of that and feel good about yourself, rather somebody else telling you what it is that you do good. Because you might feel like you do all of these good things in the world, and then that person just sitting there and is like, oh yeah, the only thing you good at is giving me your cookies. Like, no, absolutely not. Women, in fact, are phenomenal creatures. And no, I'm not on a feminist campaign or anything like that, but I must say, the Lord has given us the ability to produce life. Do you know how hard it is, and how hard it is, and how stressful it is, and how intense it is, and how responsibility, like everything that comes with making a human? See, you ever heard of this saying, daddy's maybe, mama's baby, daddy's maybe? Yeah, that's true. When you're in a relationship with this man and he's abusing you, and then you have a child by him, oh yeah, he could walk away from you and the child. Guess who's gonna be left with the child? You. You don't want to put yourself, if you're a woman in an abusive relationship right now and you don't have no kids, don't allow yourself to get to the point where you're starting to produce for this man because you think you love him, and then you're left out on the limb. You left out in the cold. You're left out asking people to help you get back on your feet because he just walked away and went dated or committed adultery with all of these women and did all of this, and now you're hurting and now you're feeling it, and he's just trying to use it all against you. He's just trying to make you jealous and do this and do that, looking stupid, right? You never want to be put in that position because, number one, you're a queen. You don't ever let nobody put you in that position. And you don't put yourself in that position to allow anybody to ever put you in that position. Fortunately, some of us got that lesson. Unfortunately, some of us didn't. Some of us didn't get that lesson, but we got it a little bit too late. And the good thing about right now and right in this space and time is that the Most High is giving us all grace. So it doesn't matter, really what happened to us and, what we did or what someone else did to us. What's helping or what's good about this time is that we have the opportunity to make a better decision. We have the opportunity, the wisdom, the knowledge, advice, encouragement, inspiration to see somebody else go through that and do better, make better choices, make better decisions. And so if you are a woman and you are in a relationship with a man who is abusing you, sister, I ask you, what is it do you have to offer? And what is that man doing with what you have to offer? Is he actually putting you in a position to make you feel good about yourself and build you and uplift you and, exalt you to that queen in his life that you're supposed to be? Or is he only using what you have to offer for his benefit? Is he treating you like a slave? Is he treating you like you're just a scum on the earth? He could just spit and step on you and laugh at you in your face in front of millions of people. Is that what he's doing with your worth? And if he's doing that with your worth, you should feel insulted in every way when somebody is doing that to you. Seriously, you don't think that that's enough to feel some type of way? Like, come on now. Like, I'm sorry, I ain't ever happening to me again. But listen, when you realize that that person means no good to you, that person wants to hurt you, you should never want to continue to put yourself in that situation over and over and over, unless it's a sick, twisted game like what I went through. And the reason why every time I went back was because, the child had become a factor and, wanted to make it work for the child. And he would, so to speak, give all his wives away and say that we were going to be monogamous. And while he's playing this monogamous game behind closed doors and behind everyone's face, he's whispering into these other women's ear, like, I want to really be with you. And I just want to be with multiple women, and playing all of these different faces. So, as a woman, you really just have to stand firm in who you are and your worth. And that comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of discipline, because when you pull yourself away from abusive people, toxic people, it forces you to be alone. A lot of us don't know how to just be alone. A lot of us don't feel comfortable with just being alone because we get validation from other things that we offer to other people. We make people feel good. We offer people things, you know what I'm saying? So that validation is a key component to feeling accepted. But you shouldn't want to feel accepted by somebody who's abusing you. Just accept yourself. Accept you. Look in the mirror and be okay with you every day. Be okay in one room with yourself and wake up every morning and pamper yourself, pamper your kids, whatever you have. And be okay with that until the right person comes along to love you. Do you realize how much you have to build, sister? queen, empress, goddess. Do you know how much you have to build? You have things to build. You have to be preparing your space, not only for yourself and for your children or future children, but you must be preparing that space for your kingdom spouse. Somebody who is holy, somebody who is going to come into your life and add to you, somebody who is going to come into your life and uplift you and exalt you to the person that God says you are. So, as a woman, you have to think about other things. You can't just think about, this person loving you. You have to think about, okay, do I have a residual income underneath my belt that's going to help me financially provide for myself and for my kids if I have any? If at any moment I walk away from this man, or this man walk away from me, or this man beat me half to death and I have to leave and call the police on him and put him in prison. Seriously. Seriously. That's the only way you could protect yourself from people like that. So if you don't have all of your T's crossed and all of your I's dotted for yourself, you shouldn't even want to be in a relationship. And that's why I had to pump my brakes, because I said, yo, I'm doing this all backwards. I said, I gotta put me in a position where I am financially stable, mentally okay, emotionally okay. I need to do all the things for me that say, okay, yeah, she's a ghost, she's a baddie. I need to be in that position before I allow myself to be in any relationship, because if at any point anything happen, blow up, whatever, I'm gonna be left out in the cold, and I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. If it's not promising in a way where God is revealing to you that you're supposed to be with that person, that person is doing everything righteously and is handling you the way that you need to be handled, and expressing how it is that they feel to you, you shouldn't even be one to mess with it. If it's not God ordained, if it's not something that the Most High put his stamp on, you shouldn't even want to be involved in that. So honey, long story short, and making this story a little shorter, Aviana be ready to go, y'all. I promise you, like, she really be ready to go. But I think she's sleeping and hungry. I'm about to go make her a little smoothie, because my baby, this breast milk ain't working. But yes, honey, I want you to realize that you have so much more to focus on, baby. If somebody's abusing you, let me tell you something. Hold on, before I go. Woman of God, if a man does not love you, I want you to know from the bottom of my heart. Oh, she going to sleep. I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that there is a beautiful man out there waiting for you. There is a man out there waiting for you that's going to treat you like better than gold. There's a man out there that's going to love you so good. You're going to forget all about any abuse you ever went through, any pain you ever endured, any type of trauma. It's all going to go away. He's going to treat you so good that all of that is going to melt away. You don't have to worry about finding the one for you. You don't have to worry about searching for the one for you. You don't have to worry about none of that. All you have to do is be you. Focus on you. Build you as a woman. Ellie, give me a second. I'm almost done. I'm about to be done. Give me a second. Focus on you. Focus on building your business. Focus on building yourself. Focus on taking care of yourself. And that man is going to show up out of the blue. He's just going to pop up. You ain't got to worry about going find him. You ain't got to worry about none of that. He's going to pop up. You just have to be patient. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with everything else around you. You have to be patient with the people who abused you. You understand? So you just have to start positioning yourself in a way that's not going to be harmful to you anymore. And ultimately, it's up to you. If you're going to continue to allow somebody to abuse you or not, you can walk away. And if you can't walk away, you better find a way to escape. Because can't nobody tell me that they can't escape abuse. When I was in a very, very tough situation and I escaped 4 times. You can't tell me that you can't just walk away. I had a child. I got pregnant again, had another child, and I still managed to put myself in the position that I am today by the grace of the Most High God through Jesus Christ. So with that being said, guys, give me a second. I'm about to end it right now. With that being said, ladies, I hope that this has served you well. I hope that you have learned from this, and I hope that I spoke a word to you. And I pray for each and every individual out there who is going through abuse and who is actively trying to get away and escape from abuse. Until next time, I love y'all. Later.